Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection for our servicemen and women throughout the world, and for those who have passed away in our community, especially Lieutenant Anthony J. Pat Jr., Anne Marie Guardi, and James Haltman. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Dr. Rothchild? Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Smurl?
Here. Dispense with the reading of minutes.
Third order, 3A, correspondence received from BA ARPA Director on November 12, 2024 regarding ARPA departmental budget transfers. 3B, memorandum dated November 12, 2024 from the Business Administration regarding a check for deposit from Comcast to the City of Scranton. 3C, correspondence dated November 14, 2024 from the Business Administration regarding department budget transfers. 3D, Controller's Report for the month ending October 31st, 2024. 3E, Scranton Parking Authority meeting minutes for the November 14th, 2024 special board meeting as received November 15th, 2024. 3F, minutes of the Scranton Historic Architecture Review Board meeting held August 8th, 2024. 3G, Lackawanna County 2024 Certified Assessment Rule received November 14th, 2024.
Are there any comments on any of the third order items? If not, received and filed. Do any council members have any announcements at this time?
I have two of them. So this Thursday, it's going to be a week early at the Victor L. Fury Club from 11:30 to 1. They'll be having their tripe or pasta meatballs, or half and half. Members are $12 and non-members are $14. Also, Scranton Police Department will have their annual toy drive fundraiser. Danny J will be, I'm sorry, the DJ will be Danny K, and it'll be November 22nd, which is this Friday at 5 p.m. at the Waldorf Park Society Club, and bring a new unwrapped toy. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. Anyone else?
Fourth order, citizen participation.
First, Joan Hodowanis.
Joan Hodowanis, Scranton. I can't believe you forgot to mention the Santa Parade. Saturday, 9:30,
Well, we got you.
downtown
Thanks.
Scranton. I assume you'll all be there with your kinders. The other thing I'd like to mention as I start off is my compliments and appreciation to the Scranton Fire Department for the work they've done on Montage Mountain. That could have been a very disastrous situation if it wasn't tamped down as quickly as it was. And very proud of those men and women. Okay. Any hope for a police collective bargaining unit being posted on the website?
I don't believe this year, Joan.
Okay. Yeah, July 28th, 2023, and counting. I assume that DPW union negotiations are continuing.
Yeah, the last I was told was there's a meeting this week.
Good, because Mr. Uffberg got paid $35,000 last month, so obviously something's happening. And any word on the 2023 audit?
I had asked last week at council about that, hoping that we would get it before the passing of the budget or before we...
Well, maybe as a Christmas present.
Before we thought about passing the budget, and we were told by January it would be over to us.
January.
They should have it this
And you
week.
remember when they
I'm hoping for
were
it this week.
throwing the date around of September 30th, and I sat back there and I went, yeah, in your dreams.
We
But-
actually, it's very close. It probably this week.
Okay, how many times have you said that?
Well, we do have it in hand. Our people have it, so.
Okay. In terms of the legislation tonight, I don't have a problem with this emergency training facility and emergency operations center on Clerk Technology Center's property, kind of thing. But what I still do not understand is, wasn't that the original vision for the Sorrento Center long ago and far away in another galaxy? I've never heard an explanation for, why the Sorrento Center's fallen out of favor. Is it going to become like a storage facility, a parking lot for vehicles or something?
I don't know. I know the police department almost fully use that. There's training classes in there now. They use it a lot.
But we're going to have another one built. They're going to build up, and
I believe that,
I
isn't
don't
that mostly
argue
for
about
the
it.
fire department?
It's going to be both.
Yeah, it's going to be both? But
It started as fire, but I think it's going to be both.
Okay. And Wyoming Avenue Streetscape Project. There was a reference to the bike lanes, and I don't have a problem with bicycles per se, although as a pedestrian living downtown since 1999, it's very unnerving to have a bicycle come up behind you. You can't hear them, and they're on the sidewalks. So I don't know what kind of, whether you're going to need to enact ordinances to control them once we do have these bike lanes. When I was a kid, do you remember you had the bicycle bell and you go ding, 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 ding as you were coming up behind somebody? They don't do that, they're on the sidewalks and they shouldn't be there. That should be for pedestrians only. Hopefully, when you enact these bike lanes, if you do, there will be some regulation of it and there will be enforcement, because some of these bicycle riders are not paying attention. And this assessment rule that came in from Lackawanna County, I don't know, did you do the math on Scranton?
yes.
Yeah, I was looking at it. The buildings, 40% non-taxable, 60% taxable. Land, 23% non-taxable, 77% taxable. That is an unsustainable statistic. Something's got to change. And I'll see you all Saturday morning at 9:30.
Thank you. Norma Jeffries?
Good evening, Council. Norma Jeffries, Scranton resident. And I just wanted to thank, I guess, Mr. Smurl, that you were able to get this copy of the Scranton-Lackawanna Unsheltered Plan. And I was not able to make it last week to speak about this. And I did read it. I was a little bit disappointed from the first paragraph, because it went on, it was for 2023. We're in 24. And this is the latest document that we have from 23. And as I read it, there were just things on there that it's a lot of words. And I'm thinking, I know that the committee that was put together spent a lot of time to put this together, because I know it took me a while to read it. And I had to mark it up, and you'll see my yellow markings on it, because I didn't understand a lot of the information that we're putting on in this report. And then the main thing that I wanted to see at the back of this report was an action plan. I didn't see an action plan. We're into June of 24, past June of 24, and this is the latest. Is there any update? I was hoping that Dr. Rothchild would be here so that she could address this, because I think she's on the committee. And as I had said 2 weeks ago, or more than that ago, it's getting cold, and we all have that luxury of going and turning up our heat. And here we have people that are out there still with no plan in place that I see anyway. And I don't have to know everything, but I think we owe it to the citizens of Scranton to know that there is something in the works to take care of our homeless population. When they called it the unsheltered plan, just say it like it is, homeless plan, because that's what these people are. They're homeless. I still look for that young lady that was here this one night, and she was so concerned about her safety in the streets. And I know that if you go down to the Sheets at night, you see a lot of homeless people down that way. It just breaks my heart because, all I can do is talk about it and all. But then I think, yes, there is, Norma. There's something more that you can do than just talk about it. So I'm just offering to whoever put these papers together, I'm home, I'm retired. If there's anything at all that I can do to help move this plan along, I'm willing, and I think I'm able to do research and to see exactly where we are. I had spoke about Wilkes-Barre, I spoke about Allentown, and all the work that they're doing down there for the homeless, and here we are in Scranton, and I can't seem to get anything. Also, I wanted to talk about tonight, I'm going to be leaving again early because I don't know why the NAACP meetings are calling on Tuesday nights now, but tonight they are talking as well about the homeless population. And they've been in discussion with the pastor at Bethlehem Church, and I know that years ago, they tell me, I wasn't here then, but they tell me years ago that Bethlehem Church had a facility. It's no longer operational, but I understand that there's some conversation is going to go on tonight about the homeless population in Scranton, and I'm not sure how Bethlehem Church is going to be involved with it, but I do know that the NAACP is going to be involved, and they're asking the community for help and assistance. Everyone knows that they can reach me on Facebook if you want some more information about that. That would be great. So I thank you for your time and for this document, Mr. Smurl.
Sure.
Thank you.
Norman, I believe there were a few mayors meeting yesterday, I believe in Wilkes-Barre for this, so I will ask our mayor what happened at that meeting.
What, yesterday there was a meeting?
Yes, I believe it was yesterday. There was I believe there were 3 or 4 mayors that were meeting. So I will ask for an update on that.
I appreciate it. Not only me, but the the residents of Scranton as well.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Ronnie Ellman?
Good evening, Council. There's an old adage that says, the sun shines equally upon us all, except in Scranton, the home of a sour stench of graft, corruption, and friends in higher places. I got a whole lot on my plate, and I'm going to tell you some things, and I don't really care who I offend with this further on down here. Last year, I had the funeral of my son, my brother, and Rose's brother. And my other son got cirrhosis from 20 years living a hell of a good life, like a playboy. He's in the hospital for months, and he said he just wanted to go home and die in his apartment, so he'd been there for 3-4 months, and he's pretty sick, but he gets around and goes, This year, I have complained, probably going back last year, about Orlowski's office relentlessly, just non-stop harassing me about everything in the house, the cars. It won't stop with them people. In August, they got one of the protect and serve people on their side. The very day I went to Nanticoke to see my son, they give me a ticket or whatever it was for an abandoned vehicle. Does that make any sense to anybody? Then the officer wrote me a letter complaining about it. I stood here and said 1 block up the street's a piece of junk been on the sidewalk for over a year. Nobody cares about that. Anyway, I got through all that with them. And last Saturday, I get a letter from Mr. Ware saying I have to pay a $300 fine or they're going to take my driver's license away in 15 days. I never got any kind of citation or nothing in the mail about anything. This is on my little convertible that has a classic plate on it for 2 years. It says the plate's no good. Right here in this damn letter. That's the kind of police force we're coming that I have to deal with. Other people don't have problems. 2 Tuesdays ago, the city towed in my car, my Cadillac. A few days before, I put an alternator on it and I drove it around the block. There's nothing wrong with it. Just because I don't drive it, it's licensed the next year. It's insured every month. The insurance comes out, you know, I pay monthly. And it's inspected the next August, as some jerk in this city towed my car in. Yeah. If that's not harassment, you tell me what it is. I got Orlowski driving me nuts for a year. He had Sunday lie in court, Mr. Ware's court, about that. And he never came in here when I told him to come confront me about lying in court.
So did you get your car yet that was towed?
Sir?
Do you know the reason why it was towed? Was it explained to you? Did you get your car?
No, this was, they gave me a rubbish fine or something, I don't remember. Real quick, a couple weeks ago, the next door neighbor come in, my property, my backyard's 50 feet wide, his is 19 feet. He came on my property, vandalized a tree, threw the branches down, so I phoned the cops. Here comes the cop that doesn't like me. Listen, he looked at everything, and I got pictures of it. He said, I phoned Mr. Orlowski, and he's not in. I'll get in touch with him and let you know tomorrow. What in the world does Orlowski have to do with what I'm talking about?
Thank you, Mr. Ellman.
This is a police matter about the tree and so forth. It's nothing to do with Orlowski.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Let me show you something. Just 1 second. This is my Cadillac. There's my inspection. Does that say 825 or doesn't it? 825. They told that they're perfectly legal car.
Please don't pound. Thank you.
Well, thank you for letting me talk.
Sure.
And find my damn car.
All right. Lee Morgan?
Some city this has become the last couple of years. That's all I got to say. It's a shame what has happened to this city.
So did you get your car back, Mr. Ellman? Mr. Ellman?
Did you get your car back?
No, I don't know where my car is.
No, he doesn't know where it is.
Okay.
The lawyers will find my car.
Good evening, council. Maybe today, Mr. Smurl, you'll tell the city where all the money from the proceeds of the sale of the Scranton Sewer Authority went to. I asked you that last week. Maybe you won't, but, you know, I just think that as you look at this thing spin today, the people who got up here and spoke about the city, we've got the situation we have in the city is that we've elected people that can't run the city, so they have to hire people and spend millions of dollars in order to keep the city moving. I had an opportunity to go to the Trip Park meeting on the sewer, on the sewer lines. And I'd just like to say that Mr. Wexler, when he introduced that legislation in the council, they didn't care about the residents. We're talking about, as the people presented their statements to council today, about spending millions and millions and millions of dollars for the sewer. And I just think it's important to realize one thing. All this money comes from taxpayers across this Commonwealth and from the federal government. And I really think there needs to be a study done. I think we need to elect a new mayor, to be honest with you, because we don't have a mayor or a council capable of running the city. And we need to take a look at all the grant money that's spent. We need to have somebody come in and determine how much these projects were really worth and whether the city basically allowed graft to take hold of this city and pay people, you know, maybe like they did downtown by Buanas, you know, $25 million for a project of a couple buildings that are still vacant. And as we watch the city spin out of control and all the millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars they're spending that isn't even coming from this tax base. And then you watch Mr. Casey fighting, trying to hold on to a Senate seat that he lost by 17,000 votes. And then you watch the Democrats say that they don't care how corrupt they are. They're going to count votes and they're going to find some way to save this guy, because that's what Democrats do. They lie to you. They cheat you out of whatever you have. You watch Mr. Ellman here talk today. You know, the city came and towed a car off my property one time. Didn't waste any time. Just went to the district justice's office, filled out a couple papers. Chief of police wouldn't even talk to me. Went in to talk to the tower. He threw me out of his building. I said, well, I was only trying to be nice. And then the city begged me not to sue them and told me they'd never come on my property again. I've got 3 cases, 2 in federal court and 1 in the Court of Common Pleas, and I'm not going to do anything until after December, after Christmas, and then I'm going to start spinning. And I think I'm going to sue the city for $10 million. Now, they didn't use city law firms to fight me. They went outside, and they're paying, what, $290 an hour, okay? Because you know what? You can laugh at people, and you can disrespect people, but all you need to do is know how to hold an ink pen and how to file something. See this ink pen right here? This is the most powerful weapon you've ever seen in your life. And with this ink pen, I can accomplish anything. Anything. And I just think that, like Mr. Smurl here, you know, you're not going to answer our questions today about what happened to the sewer authority money, because you really think this is all a joke. But don't forget that you have a working relationship with the head of licensing and inspections. You're deep into this stuff that's going on in this city, okay? And the rest of you, I feel sorry for you, because you're in way over your head. They talk about spending millions of dollars. You don't have $1 million in your bank account. And you know what? Elon Musk is absolutely right. We've got to get rid of all the graft, because that's all this city's spinning on. And you laugh at what happens to people here. It's all a big joke, but you have no power. And the power you do have, you won't use. You won't use your power of subpoena. You won't do anything for the people. You won't do anything about licensing and inspections and all the abuses they've committed. But you know something? I had a problem with them too, and I beat them at the district justice. And then the district justice asked me for a copy of the law, okay? And it's pretty simple. And when I go to court, one judge almost threw me out because of the way I was dressed, but I won that case too. And we're going to have a lot of fun here. I hope you stick around for the show.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray, do you want me to email you a copy of the information I have on the sewer authority?
I want you to tell the public, because they have a right to know what all the water and sewer rate increases that are facing and the incompetence of this council. I want the public to know it. And that's why I want you to tell the public, because you represent the council as the president, what the city has done to them. That's what I want.
Thank you. That's it for the sign-in sheet. Anyone else?
Town Coin, Manuka. The city said on the unauthorized access to records in Dick's Court that there was no unauthorized access after the investigation. That seems strange. I guess I was authorized then to access city personnel files if there were no unauthorized accesses. Last time I mentioned the $40,000 not being distributed to the neighborhood beautification program. Dr. Rothchild said she thinks that she asked prior and it was distributed. I remember that conversation and that question, and I think it went through NeighborWorks. This was months ago. I suspect the same answer will be given tonight. But I ask, how do we trust a budget whose funds have been expended and are never recorded as such for review? The line item was 0 spent. What other numbers are wrong and unreported in the budget you're reviewing? 5H, finally, it's about time the LSA for the Naog Park Pool was put in. I guess someone listened to me saying that we should use the LSA grants for city projects for the people and not just for nonprofits, like our pools. $1 million is a good start, but I hope they are still shaving Recovery Act funds, or are they planning on dragging their feet out until they don't have the ability to move it as an excuse? 5N, we have Marywood College LSA grant for $1 million to improve Marywood campus. How much have they paid in pilots to the city? I understand that we pushed grants through for the kickback from the processing, but is $20,000 for $1 million a good deal when they don't even supply pilot funds? We have a lot of talk of Jesus talk, and I think Christian institutions have forgotten God. Not all, but some. Jesus was clear in Paul. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not because of the possibilities of punishment, but also because there's a conscience. This is also why you pay your taxes, for the authorities are God's servants who give their full time in governing. Give everyone what you owe him. If you owe taxes, pay them. Revenue, if revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Nonprofits are supposed to balance what would be paid in taxes with what is provided to the community in compensation. Even hospitals are supposed to give free care. The Pope washes the feet of the poor. The local universities wash their hands after counting and storing the coin box. Regents in the Temple, the Board of Collectors. 7C, the beautification of downtown. We're paying for them to gather volunteers to remove graffiti, trash, and plant flowers. Are we really spending $23,829.03, as the details say, to have one Scranton buy flowers to enhance aesthetics and air quality? Really? On another subject, there's been talk of why does council allow off-topic comments. The courts have ruled about suppression in council and even limited public forums. Council, by allowing it prior, sets up an issue of viewpoint discrimination and shutting down certain speech as an issue, and the Sunshine Rule allows subjects that are not in the agenda as long as they are of public interest. I understand that's hard to define for this body. It's easier to give 5 minutes than cause legal risks, and it costs nothing. Last, I'd like to address Ukraine. I can connect it by supplying the 155 millimeter shells, or the sudden appearance of the flag when Zelensky came. But as I suspect, if I look out front, on day 1,000 of this war, the flag is probably not flying out front. But I'll check after I leave. I watched Russian troops cross the border when they dropped incendiaries on ski slopes in Poltava, Kermanchung's ski slopes. I watched buildings disappear in front of my eyes. We had Democrats for and Republicans in opposition to spending in Ukraine. But the U.S. military said it would cost us more not to spend in the long run than it would to back out. Why are we in this on day 1,000? I ask you to take a look at a map of Europe. If Ukraine was to fall, Hungary, Orban's Hungary being Putin's lapdog, and Slovakia is tied to Putin's oil. Allowing them to continue through would put a wedge right in the middle of Europe. So for day 1,000, I ask everyone here to remember the civilians who suffer and who have lost. May they at some time find a modicum of peace in this war. Good night.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Mike Mancini, Scranton. Tonight I'm going to talk about crickets. The term crickets is often used when someone asks a question and gets no response. Crickets have come to mean absolute silence, no communication. You can understand why it comes to this very reasoning with our 2024 Scranton City Council. Current council is led by a president who has had a lackluster year. We have a bar that's set very low because our concerns are not addressed, and weekly conversations with the current mayor remain private as opposed to the good people of Scranton. When you put that gavel down at the end of the year, Mr. Smurl, leave it there. Here are some examples of crickets. They're not in any order. Dressing and sealing the pave cuts by utility company contractors. Apparently, none of you care about the roads or the recurring expenses of the good people of Scranton. Crickets. A 1.9% increase to the Scranton Sewer Authority bills at $62 a year as opposed to $220. The sale of the Sewer Authority has an agreement in place for 10 years of that sale. I mention this to each of you to familiarize yourselves with this full agreement. Crickets. Why is this administration not accepting lowest bids when it comes to infrastructure and other important bids when the lowest meets our needs? The Cabouse Avenue splash pad will have a rebidding process. Crickets. Over 60 hires for critical positions within this administration since she took office. Crickets. Only 50 intersections have new crosswalks when all are needed. Crickets. $6.4 million to settle 59 lawsuits in the last 18 months. Where's that money coming from to pay off this stuff? Crickets. Lost critical years for this administration to come up with a plan to inspect our roads and pave cuts. $500,000 later to a third-party firm in Luzerne County with no questions about how often they will inspect and the number of hours as the standard. Instead, crickets. North Main Avenue Bridge has a row of lights heading towards North Main Avenue that don't come on at night. This has been brought to your attention several months ago. Crickets. Proper signage for trucks near low bridges in our neighborhoods. Crickets. Homeless people sleeping in culverts. Crickets. Tom Coyne getting singled out for doing the right thing when finding private and privileged information left outside City Hall. Several boxes. Instead of a thank you, he got served, along with crickets. 15-mile-an-hour signs near each of our schools should already be in place and done correctly. Instead, crickets. Poor water quality in Scranton. Lee Morgan brought an example a couple of months ago. It makes me wonder if this water is safe to give to my cat. Crickets. Condemned property was knocked down without notifying the property owner. Crickets. Hundreds of properties that this administration knew nothing about were made aware by the county that they're the responsibility of the city. This administration knew nothing about it. Crickets. Well, over 1,000 properties have built and received a certification of occupancy, and still they only pay taxes on the land. This has never been addressed. Crickets. It will take 7 years for this administration to address no pools at NAOG, no dissatisfaction by any of you, memories lost for children and families. Instead, crickets. This administration took a dying wish and a donation of land for a park and is turning it into a salt shed compound. Crickets. This administration also takes several years to address issues that would have cost less years ago. Instead, she's doing so in an election year and is promoting it as progress. Crickets. This is what happens when your local officials do not listen to those who elected them. These are just some of the issues that won't be addressed under the watch of this administration and our current council president, Dr. Rothchild. We need someone who can take the gavel and lead, someone that will get answers. Other women have sat in that very same chair and did very well. I believe that you can lead this body in a very critical year ahead.
Thank you.
For most,
Thank you. Your time is over.
so is yours.
I have to lead. Anyone else?
Aunt Marquise, you guys know my name. So we talk a lot about the homeless population, but there's two things with the homeless population. For one, a lot of these people, okay, so how can I say this? For one, there's some people that want help, and then on the other hand, there's just outlaws, criminals. They don't care. They don't want to get rehab. They don't want to get a job. They don't want to get help. Like, they're just outlaws. I'm out here with them every day. I just got physically assaulted by 2 of them. I told you guys this the last meeting. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we have to think about that when it comes to helping the homeless. Like, there's only a portion of the homeless that want help. The other portion, we need to get them off the streets and lock them up, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of criminals out there that are just smoking, drinking, down there at the pavilion. I told you guys, I went down there trying to do community service, trying to clean up, and what happened? I got jumped. I came here. I tried to ask you guys for help about sending the police down there to police the environment. None of that happened. So I'm just wondering, like, when are we going to do something about this situation? Because it just makes no sense that none of the children can play down there because we have drugs down there, we have alcohol down there, we have violence down there, and I'm still being threatened to this day every time I go back to the Keystone Mission. So I'm going to just end it off by saying this. Can you please send some police down there to police the pavilion how you guys used to do last year? Like, stop giving the homeless people their way, because a lot of these people are criminals. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Voldenberg?
Fifth order, 5A motions.
Mr. King, do you have any motions or comments?
Just a few comments. Number one, Norma sent me a message just to remind the public that the Naog Park Christmas Light Show will begin on Monday, this coming Monday, November 25th, starting at 5 p.m., and that'll happen every night leading up through the Christmas season and probably right up through New Year's, I would imagine. So they do a great job up there, and you typically have volunteers there with donation jars to help out. So just a reminder about that. Last week I got a little frustrated because I was concerned about the pool at NAOG. I scheduled a meeting with the mayor and the business administrator and explained to them where I'm at. I had a guarantee that was going to happen. Had my picture taken up at NAOG in front of a big sign. We're going to have an 8-lane pool. We fought for that 8-lane pool, every one of us up here.
and all of a sudden I find out the funding's cut. Well, I was assured by the mayor and the business administrator that, number one, we are applying for $1 million of LSA, that LSA grant. Also, that there's $1.5 million of interest gained through ARPA sitting in an account, which would account for the 8-lane pool. The first phase is the zero-entry pool, which that portion of it is $4.2 million, and the reason being, it covers all the infrastructure for all the other pieces, the 8-lane pool and the splash pad. So I have an assurance from our mayor and our business administrator that that pool is going to happen. And I don't know how much longer I'll be on this council, but I will continue to remind our mayor and our business administrator that that was a commitment that was made. Every one of us here, all 5 of us, fought for that. We want that pool up there as part of that project. I applaud the administration for all the work that's happening at all the parks, expanding. Oakmont Park's done, Robinson Park's almost done. We're starting to work. We're going to get to work soon on Capellas Avenue. There's been work done at many of the other parks. There's work already underway down at Weston Field with the skate park and the pool down there. Connell Park's getting a new pool, and on and on. There's about 17 different park projects, spending $18 million on park improvements. So I was a little heated last week, but I was assured by our mayor and our business administrator that that pool is in fact going to happen. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Schuster, any motions or comments?
Yeah, a few comments. Thank you, Mr. King, for that update on the pool. Mr. King is correct. I did meet with the mayor and the business administrator at a point in time when they told me that we were not going to get a pool up at NAIOG. It was just going to be a splash pad, and the residents of this city couldn't get over Lake Lincoln being gone. So Mr. King is correct. We did fight for that pool. We did fight to get that 8-lane section also up at NAIOG, and can't wait to see it completed, although it's going to take some time. The homeless question was brought up tonight. Mr. Voldenberg, if we could reach out to the administration to see if there's an update with the homeless task force. I did get a call today about vagrancy along 7th Avenue. We did mention it, I'd say at least over a month or 2 ago, that the cold weather is coming, and we wanted to be proactive, and we haven't heard anything since, so if we can get an update from that committee.
I will, sir.
I had some questions from November 12th about the FEMA projects. We did have FEMA projects from dating back to 2018. It's been something I've been talking about since 2018 and staying on top of that. We got some answers back. We do not have a reimbursement timeline. We will be reimbursed 100% for those projects. The city does have to spend the money and do the work first, and then we have to apply for reimbursement. Tonight here in caucus, Eileen Cipriani said all but one of those projects is completed, and that one project is being finished now. Happy to see that. Happy to see a little bit more information come out of the business office. When it comes to ARPA money, questions were asked about reallocating some of the unused money into the NAIOG pool, and the answer that we got from that last week is that it will be reallocated into stormwater. That's all for tonight, Mr. Smurl.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Dr. Rothchild, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes, thank you. First, I know that Ms. Jeffries came tonight and had some additional questions about the unsheltered task force, and I know she had to leave early, and I had provided updates previously, so maybe she wasn't present at those meetings, but I'll make sure to connect with her after the meeting so she knows where things are at. But from what I've been told, they do plan on having another meeting before the end of the year, haven't received a date yet, and that there weren't really any further updates. They would continue to have the cold flu shelters like they have in past years, so that will be helpful for when it is a certain temperature, that we can provide that shelter for people. But I'm hoping in the future there will be more information on if we're going to get if anyone is going to be building an additional shelter within the city because we do need more shelter space. So that's on that point. And then there was a concern brought up during citizens' participation about the pave cut fees and inspection, and we do have a piece of legislation on tonight, and I was going to speak on that point when it came up, but I'll just mention now that I believe it's 5C, that we're going to be changing that ordinance, and I'm hopeful that the changes that we have in there will help us to crack down on the pave cut inspections and make it easier for us to inspect them properly and follow the inspection throughout the process rather than what we were doing in the past. So I think that that's going to be a really helpful piece, and I'm glad to see that on the agenda tonight. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rothschild. Mr. McAndrew, do you have any motions or comments?
I have a couple. So I sat in the same room with Mr. Schuster with the initial pool discussion before ARPA money was even here. And I clearly remember the mayor and the business manager saying, municipalities aren't in the pool business anymore. Splash pads are trending. So these are initial conversations. So I'm so proud of our residents and our council that rose to the occasion and said, no, we want a pool, we're going to get a pool. The only problem I had with this whole process was, and I remember being told in that same conversation, at that same meeting, they can't use ARPA funds. Can't use any lost revenue to pay for the pool, which wasn't true, because when ARPA, the people that answered, company that was here it's still here to manage our ARPA funds, I finally asked them in person. I said, were we able to use? Absolutely, but it wasn't the direction of administration. That's the answer I got. Horrible, but that's the answer I got. Not the answer I wanted. So moving forward, so we could have paid for the pool. There could be a pool up there right now. I wasn't happy. The only thing I disagree with, we're getting a pool, and I'm glad to hear that you met with the mayor and they're committed. Well, we'll have to keep our eye, as usual, like always. But I don't want the bells and whistles first, the pickleball courts or anything else. I want the pool first. That was the only thing where I differed in agreement with I didn't even want the master plan, but I get, it might have been required, but all of a sudden we're getting the bells and whistles and the pool's on hold. Still not happy. Just saying my piece. All right, so next I'd like to congratulate Deputy Chief Martin Monahan on his retirement. Deputy Chief Monahan's career started in 1987 when he held the ranks of patrol officer, detective sergeant, fire marshal, commander of the Special Operations Group, and most recently, of course, Deputy Chief. Deputy Chief Monahan, I want to wish you continued success with your retirement and future endeavors. Thank you for your service and dedication to the city and the safety of our residents. So there's been great discussion lately about Engine 10. We had some legislation up on West Mountain. And East Mountain, I'm sorry. During that conversation, I was in contact with someone who took the lead. Her name is Jean Marie Warpus, I apologize. And what she actually did recently and rallied all the residents up there and had a petition signed by 634 residents up there. That's a message. And I'm happy, I'm going to read it. I'm happy to announce this. And Mr. Voldenberg, I'd like you to put this in third order next week and make sure administration gets a copy of this.
I will.
If you would, please. Thank you. So here's the petition was simple, and it's right to the point. Once again, our Engine 10 is in the news, and it was at this time when they were gathering or circulating this petition and getting signatures. At this time, we have the unanimous support of all city council members, and that happened, who agreed to keep the engine on the mountain. This petition, containing the signatures of East Mountain residents, is in support of council members and to affirm that this is our wish to have Engine 10 remain on the mountain. So I'm very proud of them and their work and the work of Jean Marie. So Mr. Voldenberg, I'll give this to you after the meeting. And I believe that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. My comment is also about Naog Pool, but I have a different concern about it also. We applied for a RACP grant that would be used for the second phase of the Naog Pool project. And we were denied that, of course. You know that by now, but that would have been a benefit for all of the citizens in the city of Scranton. Now, although I did see a RACP grant of $5 million given to Fidelity Bank, this is in addition to $4 million that they already received in RACP grants. So to me, that seems to benefit a private entity instead of all of the citizens of Scranton benefit from a grant. So, but we did apply for another grant and for NAOG for the second stage of the pool project, and it is in 5H this evening. We are going to be voting on it. But the progress at NAOG Park right now, they are doing the infrastructure for both pools, the pool house and the pump house. And they are also doing the stormwater project. If you go up there, you'll see it. It is dug all up, and that is all in progress. So I hope that we will continue that. But I'm confident that we will find the money and get that pool, the pool in. That is all I have, Mr. Voldenberg.
5B for introduction and ordinance, authorizing the police officers of the city of Scranton to arrest without a warrant pursuant to 42 PA CS section 8902.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5B be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and so moved.
5C for introduction and ordinance, amending street openings and excavation code to adjust the calculation method and schedule of inspection fees and related permit provisions.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5C be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, I just asked that Solicitor Gilbride take a review to compare this with the recent legislation that we've already passed. And then if, Mr. Voldenberg, if we can reach out to the administration and see how they came to the conclusion. There's some things in here that seem to strengthen this ordinance, but we just passed legislation on the same exact thing within the last few months. So how they came to the conclusions and why they need the changes.
I'll look into it, sir.
Thank you.
all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, and so moved.
5D for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with H2M Architects and Engineers, Inc. to perform engineering and architectural services for Emergency Services Training Facility and Emergency Operations Center.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5D be introduced into its proper committee.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and so moved.
5E for introduction, a resolution for plan revision for new land development located in the 600 block of Mineral Avenue.
This time, I entertain a motion that item 5E be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved. Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5F for introduction, a resolution for plan revision for new land development located in the 2900 block of Stafford Avenue.
This time, I entertain a motion that item 5F be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5G for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $1 million to be used towards the Cloverfield site renovation and recreation improvements project.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5G be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5H for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $1 million to be used towards the Naog Park Swim Complex project.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5H be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, I know several other council members had brought this up earlier, but I'm fully behind our NAOG swim complex, and I'm glad that we're submitting this grant application, and I'm hopeful that we'll be successful in it and be able to continue on with the project and stay with it until it's completed. I know we've already reiterated that we all want to see that happen, but mostly because we know that the residents want to see it happen, and that it's going to help a lot of people who want to be able to swim during the summer and enjoy that space. And we have a really great vision and plan for it, and we all just want to see that come to fruition.
thank you.
Also on the question, I really haven't had a chance to speak about it in depth since the discussions that we had initially, but this is something that could benefit all of the citizens. It could benefit all age groups. It was something I said repeatedly at that point in time, that it's all age groups. And I don't want us to forget that, like I said before, initially this was going to be a splash pad. Council fought hard to get a pool, and the first concept of that pool was a 2-foot deep pool.
3.
Sorry. I'll be accountable there, a 3-foot deep
much
pool.
more.
We fought for that Olympic-sized swimming pool, and it's in the plans at this point in time, and I'd like to see it to completion.
Thank you. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5I for introduction resolution, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $1 million to be used towards the Wyoming Avenue Streetscape project.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5I be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5J for introduction, a resolution accepting a donation of ADA signs to the City of Scranton from the Architectural Heritage Association to be placed on City Hall property.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5J be introduced into its proper committee.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, just wanted to thank the Architectural Heritage Association for this donation, for these updated signs. Should be something that we already have, but it'll be helpful to have some updated ones. Thank you.
all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5K for introduction, a resolution amending Resolution Number 144 of 2024 as amended, Resolution Number 134 of 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with the American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for splash pad equipment and enhancements to Capouse Avenue Park Playground, to revise the funding amount subject to the interagency agreement.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5K be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5L for introduction, a resolution amending Resolution 111 of 2024 entitled, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application on behalf of Valley in Motion Trust for public land to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant pursuant to the PA Racehorse Development and Gaming Act for up to $200,000 to be used towards the Francis Willard Elementary School Green Schoolyard Project.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5L be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved. Second.
On the question,
On the question, this would be a huge improvement for Willard Elementary School, as it's, those kids right now pretty much just have blacktop, so a lot of scratched knees. The nurse over there will be thrilled, and a lot of parents will be as well. So I think this would be a huge improvement for the children in West Scranton to have a green space on that property for them to play.
I agree, too. My kids went there, and you know what? It's deceiving how big it is in the back. It's massive, and I'm glad it's going to be utilized in a way that's going to be safer and even better looking, because it didn't look too good. It wasn't too safe. It was, like you said, it was an asphalt jungle.
Could help improve property
Yeah.
values, too.
It looked good.
Well, I might as well say I also agree.
Thank you. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5M for introduction, a resolution ratifying execution of the lease financing proposal and authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials, including but not limited to the business administrator and/or fire chief, to execute and enter into any and all documents necessary to enter into, consummate, and execute a lease purchase agreement for Sutphen Custom Ladder Truck with First Security Finance, Inc.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5M be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5N for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton on behalf of Community Development Properties, Scranton, Inc., to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $1,020,000 to be used towards the Marywood University campus renovation project.
This time, entertain a motion that item 5N be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, Marywood has a new president, Dr. Lisa Laurie, and I think it would be appropriate for us to approve this in good faith, and then hopefully we can set up a meeting with the new president and talk about possible pilots moving into the future.
all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5-0 for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton on behalf of the Community Development Properties Scranton, Inc., to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $127,500 to be used towards the Linden Parking Garage renovation project.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5O be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
5P for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton on behalf of the Scranton Life Realty Company to the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $408,000 to be used towards the Biden Street Historic Renovation Project.
This time, I entertain a motion, item 5P be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5Q for introduction, a resolution ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton to the Department of Community and Economic Development's Main Street Matters Grant Program for up to $1 million to be used towards the Clover Field Site Renovation and Recreation Improvements Project.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5Q be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
Sixth order, 6A, reading by title, filed to council number 43, 2024, an ordinance amending the Responsible Contractor Ordinance, Chapter 113 of City Code.
You have heard read by title of item 6A. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6A pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, I know there was a couple questions council had of this. I know there was a meeting that took place. Did we get information on the questions that we had regarding this piece of legislation?
it is still ongoing. They don't have it all worked out between all the parties. but it is ongoing. But it is not ready yet. That's why I feared we table it and wait for that proper wording.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion to table item 6A.
Second.
I got it right here, wait. Oh.
Okay, yeah. So on the question of the original 6A, all those in favor of signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and so moved.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table item 6A.
Second that.
There's a motion on the floor and a second to table item 6A. This ordinance is being tabled because we are waiting for information from the administration on the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Was there a second? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a
Okay.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
6B, reading by title, file to council number 44, 2024, an ordinance levying the property tax millage for the year 2025.
You've heard reading by title of item 6B. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6B pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
6C, reading by title, file to council number 45, 2024, an ordinance maintaining the waste disposal and collection fee at $300.
You've heard reading by title of item 6C. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6C pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor of signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
6D, reading by title, file to council number 46, 2024, an ordinance levying local service tax at $156.
You have heard reading by title of item 6D. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6D pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
6E, reading by title, file to council number 47, 2024, an ordinance amending file to council number 98, 2023, an ordinance as amended, entitled, appropriating funds for the expenses of the city government for the period commencing on the first day of January 2024 to and including December 31st, 2024, by the adoption of the general city operating budget for the year 2024, to increase the intergovernment FEMA emergency permits revenue line item account number as noted by an amount not to exceed $2,356,854.00, and to increase the Department of Public Works Administration Professional Services expense line item number as noted by an amount not to exceed $2,356,854.00. Said increases acknowledge the increase in expenditures and increase in reimbursable revenue that was not identified in the 2024 operating budget.
You have heard reading by title of item 6E. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6E pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, this here is the 2018 FEMA projects that are finally being completed. As I said in caucus, we were told all of those projects except one has been completed at this point in time, and that one is ongoing. I did ask about a reimbursement timeline, and the city was unaware of what that reimbursement timeline would be, but that we would be reimbursed for 100% of those projects.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Seventh order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, resolution number 138, 2024, ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's Multimodal Transportation Fund for up to $2 million to be used towards the Ash Street Bridge project.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
Any question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 139, 2024, appointment of Sherry Frabel, Scranton, Pennsylvania, to the position of Executive Director of the Office of Economic and Community Development, effective October 28, 2024.
As chairperson for Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7B.
Second.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7B legally and lawfully adopted.
7C for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 140, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for the beautification of downtown.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7C.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C legally and lawfully adopted.
7D for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 141, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract between the City of Scranton and the Scranton School District with Rainey and Rainey to perform the Scranton Single Tax Office independent audit for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7D.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7D legally and lawfully adopted.
7E for consideration by the Committee on Finance for Adoption, Resolution Number 142, 2024, amending Resolution Number 99 of 2024 as amended, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with the American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds to perform stormwater improvements at various areas of interest within the city of Scranton, to revise the funding amount subject to the interagency agreement.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Finance?
As chairperson for the Committee on Finance, recommend final passage of 7E.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7E legally and lawfully adopted.
7F for consideration by the Committee on Finance for Adoption, Resolution Number 143, 2024, amending Resolution Number 100 of 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with the American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds to perform disaster mitigation for the Lindy Creek tributary, to revise the funding amount subject to the interagency agreement.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Finance?
As chairperson for the Committee on Finance, I recommend final passage of item 7F.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7F legally and lawfully adopted.
7G for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for Adoption, Resolution Number 144, 2024, amending Resolution Number 134 of 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with the American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for splash pad equipment and enhancements to Capouse Avenue Playground, to revise the funding amount subject to the interagency agreement.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7G.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7G legally and lawfully adopted.
7H for consideration by the Committee on Finance for adoption, Resolution Number 145, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for the purchase of a new ARC geographic information system and geotabs to carry out the City Hall ESRI system project.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Finance?
As chairperson for the Committee on Finance, I recommend final passage of item 7H.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7H legally and lawfully adopted.
7I for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 146, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for the assistance, maintenance, and installation of features to parking facilities.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7I.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7I legally and lawfully adopted.
7J for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, Resolution Number 147, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with the American Rescue Plan Act Director to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds for the repair of the pool and bathhouse at Weston Field.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I'd like to recommend final passage of item
7J.
what was it, 7J.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7J legally and lawfully adopted.
7K for consideration by the Committee on Finance for adoption, Resolution Number 148, 2024, waiving responsible contractor ordinance requirements for the procurement of certain site work and related work for a salt storage shed.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Finance?
As chairperson for the Committee on Finance, I recommend final passage of item 7K.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7K legally and lawfully adopted.
7L for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 149, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $408,510 to be used towards the Point Balance Advocacy Center project.
What is the recommendation of chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7L.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7L legally and lawfully adopted.
7M for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 150, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of Economic and Community Development to the City of Scranton on behalf of the University of Scranton to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant for up to $204,000 to be used towards the University of Scranton's Nursing Simulation Laboratory Expansion Project.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7M.
do not have a second. Fails. Motion fails.
Eighth order, 8A.
Excuse me one second. Mr. Gilbride, am I allowed to speak on that if that failed?
There was no second. Since there's no second, there's no on the question.
Thank you.
Eighth order, 8A, file of council number 42, 2024.
This ordinance is the 2025 CD operating budget and has been tabled until a public hearing can be held next Thursday, November 26, 2024, at 5:45 p.m. If there is no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.